Did you hear about how, over the last 2 years, I guess they found out that the Liberal government, as part of their COVID-19 spending, has given quite a bit of money to a publication that is known for anti-Semitic content. They also hired a very vocal anti-Semite as part of their anti-racism program. Justin Trudeau, when addressing the unvaccinated, paraphrased a famous quote by Adolf Hitler in which he posited the question, "Do we tolerate these people?" Speaking of paraphrasing, do you remember when Rachel Notley a couple years ago paraphrased the main Nazi propagandist, Joseph Goebbels, talking about how if you repeat a lie often enough, eventually people will accept it as the truth? Hey, do you remember back during the trucker convoy in Ottawa when there was a dude spotted walking around with a racist flag? The news and the politicians made a really big deal out of it, trying to do the whole guilty by association so that they could paint the entire convoy as some sort of racist white nationalist movement. Apparently paying no attention to the fact that the person walking around with that flag was the only person wearing a mask at an anti-mandate rally. Chrystia Freeland's grandfather was a Nazi propagandist with 4 degrees of separation from the Grand Poobah, Adolf Hitler himself. She was photographed holding a neo-Nazi banner during a pro-Ukraine rally, during which she claimed not to know what the banner said. This was thrown into some doubt a few months later when she was on television giving a speech in fluent Ukrainian. Did you know that Ukraine has a government-affiliated neo-Nazi militia known as the Azov Battalion? Did you know that Ukraine was one of the few countries that willingly joined Germany back during World War II? Did you know that the word eugenics was actually named after Klaus Schwab's father, Eugen Schwab? Hey, did you ever see that video with Klaus Schwab where he is bragging about how the WEF has quote-unquote penetrated the cabinets of governments around the world, in particular Canada, where he says that he has about 50% of those cabinet members. Oh, speaking of those videos, you ever see that one video where it's Klaus's top scientist and he's talking about how in his ideal vision of the future, human beings will be completely hackable animals? Yeah, no, he looks forward to the end of privacy, of free will, and getting rid of all of the useless people. Yeah, no, he says that the majority of people, since the world is so overpopulated, are generally just kind of useless eaters that the world would probably be better without. Did you ever see that Matthew McConaughey movie called the Dallas Buyers Club? Yeah, he plays this guy that is trying to help people that have AIDS get drugs to help them with their illness. Apparently during the height of the AIDS epidemic, the people that were in charge of the oversight of such things were making it difficult to get certain drugs. They were pushing certain drugs over other drugs, regardless of how efficient they were in treatment. The villains in that story were very likely based on the real life people in charge of that, people like a certain Dr. Anthony Fauci. Do you remember that time in the House of Commons when Justin Trudeau accused people who supported the convoy of standing next to swastikas? Except when he said it, he was addressing a Jewish member of the opposition. Hey, do you remember seeing all those pictures of Justin Trudeau in blackface and a few times dressed up in Nazi uniform regalia? He actually has apparently done it so many times that when asked about it, he couldn't remember how many times. Hey, did you know over the last couple of years that the Canadian government has built what they call isolation centers in several remote locations across the country? Another new development in the last couple of years is the formation of what are being called climate police. They are getting facilities complete with armories and apparently interrogation rooms. Hey, did you know that China was actually found to be funding certain political campaigns a couple years ago in Canada? Hey, did you know that China actually has what are being called police stations in several locations across Canada? Did you know that all of the rumors, as reported by the mainstream media, that there were white supremacist or racist elements associated with anti-vaccine or anti-mandate protests with the convoy in Ottawa were actually debunked or found to be entirely fabricated? Did you know that it is actually a Marxist tactic, named after Karl Marx, who wrote the Communist Manifesto? It is actually a Marxist tactic to accuse your enemy of what you're doing as you do it to cause confusion.